Why don't I talk much about world events and conspiracies anymore? That's a good question. Since experiencing the 4D dimension and the 5D dimension of oneness, or you could say experiencing the right brain and heart connection, I no longer see from the old consciousness of separation or duality as in me versus them, me versus them, an outward pointing, outward perception. This is only going to make sense if you experienced right brain heart connection and got a taste of the higher consciousness of 4D and 5D. But once you realize that all is one, that everyone outside of you are just versions of you projecting the lower consciousness of duality. Once you have tasted oneness consciousness, to go back to discussing us versus them or me versus them in the duality comparison and not seeing all as one, that just doesn't work. Once you've had your eyes opened, you can't unsee, right? All is one. My perception, my glasses, sees that politician just a shadow of my former shadow self. So if I point my finger at what they are doing, I'm really pointing the finger at me, at a former shadow self of me, and I'm judging and condemning myself. See? I'm not in that lower consciousness anymore, and I don't waste any time. It's not even a waste of time. It's just that my consciousness just isn't there. My consciousness just isn't in that old world anymore, right? I can be standing in the midst of a city, surrounded by people, and be in a different world because of my consciousness, my awareness, right? So in oneness, you no longer see the faults and mistakes and wrongdoings of others. You realize those are just remaining reflections of your old consciousness. And if you look in the mirror of them, you can see yourself, you can gain some insights. And you're going to stop the blaming and the shaming. And you're going to introspect, and you're going to see, that is something I don't want to do anymore. Or I don't want to live at that level of consciousness anymore. And so you grow, you expand higher, wider, greater. You see from a greater vantage point. So everything that is out there is you, are former versions of you, just reflecting back the consciousness that you were living in all these years. So these projections, think of it like a movie projector, casting the movie frames, the frames, onto the wall, projector wall. Your consciousness works in the same way, like a projector. And what you see outside are just the projections of your thoughts, your judgments, on the movie wall of life, of the world. They're just your shadows. They're just things that you projected from your own mind. And of course, they play out like a movie. But it's your movie. It's your consciousness. Does that make sense? So, no, I do not spend my time on duality consciousness of us versus them and what they are doing wrong and etc. etc. They're just your shadows. Your shadows. And they're calling you to graduate, to ascend to a higher, expanded awareness.